For more on the January 6th investigation and the upcoming one-year mark, we bring in Texas Representative Joaquin Castro. Thank you so much for your time, Congressman.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll get to the latest news in just a moment. But first, let's look back nearly a year ago during the insurrection. You went into lockdown with your staffers. What was that moment like, and how close were you to coming face-to-face with that mob?
Well, I mean, the whole day was just chaotic, and we were locked in the Capitol complex. We couldn't get out. And looking back, I didn't understand the severity of the threat that day as it was unfolding. And I was in my office at Rayburn with my several staff members, but we didn't know if that mob was going to come into the House office buildings. There were people there that were from Texas. I didn't know if they were going to come look for me, just like the other members of Congress from their own states, I'm sure had the same concern. And so, obviously it's a moment and a day that's forever etched in my memory. And, most of all, as a Congress, we have to do everything we can to be sure that it never happens again to our country.
And the January 6th committee now says that the attack on the Capitol was likely a coordinated effort. If that is the case, how would that change this investigation?
Well, I think everybody that was part of the coordinated effort needs to be held accountable. And so I'm glad to see Benny Thompson, the chairman of the January 6th Select Committee, being aggressive with people who have information that's relevant to the investigation, but are refusing to come before the committee. I'm glad that he referred Steve Bannon and Mark Meadows for contempt of Congress to the Justice Department. I hope that quick action will be taken on that. And most of all, I hope that everybody else who is called to cooperate will cooperate, and that everybody will be held accountable, including, by the way, any members of Congress who knowingly participated or coordinated with this dangerous mob.
What do you make of claims that then President Trump ignored pleas to calm the crowd down, coming from his daughter Ivanka, son Don Jr., and Congressman Kevin McCarthy?
I mean, it's truly sick. It's truly sick that the President of the United States, who at any time could have told these people to stand down and to leave the Capitol, might have been, and it appears, was sitting and watching this violence occur, an attack on the American government, and for many hours did absolutely nothing, even though the people closest to him in his life were begging him to say something and to do something. It's absolutely remarkable and sad to think about, but also absolutely true.
And Congressman, of course, you're also a lawyer. You were a House impeachment manager in the second impeachment trial of Trump, where he was acquitted of incitement of insurrection. Do you think President Trump committed any crimes on January 6th? And if so, do you predict that he'll be held accountable?
Well, I mean, certainly he inflamed the situation by his rhetoric, by the big lie, and then made it worse by not taking action as commander in chief. And so I hope that the January 6th Select Committee will get to the bottom of that, his exact role. They're doing everything that they can to get all the information about his actions on that day and even before that day. And so I'll leave that final question or answer, I guess, to the Department of Justice. But I think the average American, knowing that the President of the United States told a big lie, inflamed all these people to go attack the Capitol, and then sat there and watched it unfold while it was going on and didn't lift a finger to help, most people think that somebody like that did something wrong.
And I want to follow up on that because many legal analysts have warned that the January 6th panel referring a former president for criminal charges, particularly with a Democratic-controlled Congress, could set a dangerous precedent. Does that concern you at all?
Of course, the kind of precedent that we set absolutely concerns me. And we've watched as presidents and former leaders of other countries have been tried and convicted for different crimes. And as Americans, there's always a sense in us that, hey, our democracy is beyond that, or we don't have to worry about that, or we're somehow more civilized than that. But here you have a commander-in-chief, the most powerful person in the country and on earth, most powerful politician, who was stoking the flames of division and hatred and telling a big lie to the point where some of his supporters went out there and attacked the United States government. And then he did nothing about it. There is a greater danger, I think, in taking no action when a president behaves that way, because the greater danger is that a future president, really a Republican or Democrat, a liberal or conservative, could one day decide to do the same thing, knowing that nobody is going to take action when they do.
And Congressman, 1 year later, the country, as you know, remains deeply divided over the events of January 6th. In fact, a recent ABC News poll found that while a strong majority of Americans condemn the attack and believe that former President Trump is at least partially to blame, 1 in 4 Americans has the opposite view. And they say that these individuals were actually protecting democracy. How do you think that we move forward as a nation with this kind of division? And is it perhaps a risk that the Democrats will make this event all about Trump to their peril?
Well, I think this is about democracy and protecting and saving our democracy. That's why we have focused on making sure that the Congress, including the Senate now, passes the Freedom to Vote Act and the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act so that we protect our democracy and we have free and fair elections going forward. But look, you're right. There's a significant part of the country, 25%, that believes that there was nothing wrong with what happened on January 6th. And many of people that believe that Donald Trump was right, they believe in the big lie. And I think most of all, that speaks to the power of disinformation in American society today. And we all have to do a better job of combating that.
Congressman Joaquin Castro, we thank you so much for your time and insight. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.